As a 16-year-old on the raw primal diet, I get asked questions every single day, especially when I go out in public or I eat like in front of my parents or my friends. They're always asking me questions like, how am I not sick? Why aren't I sick? Like, really, like, won't I get sick if I eat that? Or how do I start after I explain to them like why I do this? And all sorts of shit. So I wrote down 5 questions that I get asked the most. And so I'm basically just going to go through these and then tell you exactly like what my answer for them would be. So, first one is, won't you get sick? No. Well, kind of. Okay. So you can get sick if you buy low quality food. For example, I eat raw chicken. Okay, I buy a whole chicken. It's free range and organic. So basically, it's a bunch of chickens running around, eating bugs, eating grass, what they're naturally supposed to eat. So there's no bad toxins in the meat. It's very natural. There's not going to be any toxins in that meat that would make me sick. And people often think that salmonella or bacteria, E. coli, listeria, is what's going to make you sick. But it's not. Like, your body is made, 99% of your cells are bacteria. You have E. coli, you have salmonella, you have listeria in your stomach. Okay, I don't know about listeria, don't fact check me on that, but I know you have E. coli and salmonella in your stomach right now as I speak to you. This is so the bacteria can break down the food, and that's how food is digested. So, if we didn't have that salmonella and E. coli in our stomachs, we want to be able to break down food, and we want to be able to get nutrients from the food, and then we would just shit it out and we would get nutrient deficiencies and fucking die. That's why I hate antibiotics. Anyways, okay. And then, so how does bad quality meats differ? So when you get a bad quality chicken, for example, like just a completely regular chicken that you're like made to cook, and these chickens are cooped up in a pen, in cages, so there's no sunlight, there's no grass. They're usually fed like some grass, some hay, a fucking multivitamin, and then some of them like to do turmeric or some sort of like red chili powder to make the yolk more orange so that you think it's a good quality egg when in reality it isn't. And I will say right now, Vital Farms pasture raised eggs are good, but the reason why their yolks are that orange isn't because they're pasture raised. Don't get fooled by that. What Vital Farms does is that they give them red cayenne pepper, and that makes the yolk way more orange because they're eating red shit and it's getting into their system, yada yada. So when you eat these bad, I just went on a fucking tangent, but when you eat these bad quality meats that are stuck in those cages, they are way more likely to be toxic, like literally toxic or poisonous. That is where food poisoning comes from. You never hear of food bacteria illness. No, it's food poisoning because you get poisoned from the food. This is from antibiotics. This is from the shit that they just give them, like the fake multivitamins that their bodies can't even absorb, that has high levels of heavy metals, antibiotics, just all sorts of shit, basically. And so that's why you get sick from bad quality raw meats, but you're not going to get sick if you eat a raw pasture raised chicken or free range or whatever the hell. So buy good quality meat and you'll be fine. Next question is, why don't you just cook it? Isn't it digested better? Don't you get more protein out of it? No. So as a human being, the human animal, our stomach acid is almost exactly equivalent of a vulture. Our stomach pH is lower than a wolf and a lion. Basically meaning we are meant to eat raw meat. Even they are. So we are meant to eat raw fermented meat at that. And I have eaten raw fermented meat and I feel fucking amazing after. But that's besides the point. So why don't we just cook the meat? Because there's a couple of things. One, nutrients. When you cook meat, obviously the water soluble and the fat soluble vitamins are going to be pretty messed up. The proteins are not going to be in the same chemical compound form. It's going to be a less bioavailable protein. So you're not going to get as much protein. You're not going to get as much fat. You're not going to get as much nutrients and not going to get as much calories. And I've already went over, you aren't going to get sick. So if you're not going to get sick, you're going to get more protein, more calories, more nutrients, more fat. Why cook it? 2, because there are carcinogens that are created when high heat is in contact with the meat, like with the protein or with the fat. Basically, when you sear a steak or when you sear burgers and you get that like crust on the outside, that is a shit ton of carcinogens that you are creating right there. That is like a shit ton of cancer-causing chemicals that you are putting into your body. Because heat plus the meat, when it combines, it destroys the chemical structure of it and makes it carcinogenic. Okay. And then, what the hell? Oh yeah, bacteria and digestion. So raw meat has a shit ton of bacteria, like salmonella. Oh, hold on. One thing I want to say is that all raw meat has salmonella. Even beef, even though people eat rare beef, chicken, pork, lamb, all of it. Anyways, so our bodies just digest raw meat so much better than cooked. This is because, well, this is kind of how we've ate it for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And 2, because the bacteria in that meat almost breaks it down for you. If you have ever eaten a whole raw steak before, you'll notice that you are very satiated. 2, you have a shit ton of energy after. And 3, it feels like you didn't even eat. Like, you don't feel physically like you have eaten anything. Mentally and physically you feel like you don't need to eat anything, but physically you feel like you haven't. Like your stomach is still completely empty. I eat 2 pounds of lamb and I feel like I can just go on a run. Like I have a shit ton of energy. You can see like my fucking blood pressure is up. Well, that's because I'm talking and stuff. But yeah. So next question. Is it even healthy? Yes. So a lot of people mistake this for not being healthy because, oh, don't you need your greens? Don't you need your fruits and your vegetables? Don't you need starches? Don't you need carbs? No, you don't. There's many tribes. The Hadzabe tribe, the Eskimo tribe, the Maasai, who don't eat any starches, any vegetables, any nuts, any legumes, any leafy greens, and thrive off of basically meat and fruit. And that's only the Hadzabe. The Maasai and the Eskimos only eat raw meat, raw blood, and the Maasai drinks raw milk as well, and that's why they're so fucking tall. They're like, I think the tallest guy there was like 7'8", which is just crazy. That's just insane. So, no, you don't need your fruits and veggies and nuts and berries and all this shit, because meat and blood, like especially if you get organ meats and you get raw fresh blood, those have literally every single nutrient that your body needs. Think about it. What are you made of? Raw meat, raw animal fat, raw blood. You're not cooked, are you? No, you're raw. You are literally made of raw fat, raw protein, raw animal blood. So why don't you eat the same as what you are? You are what you eat. Why do you want to be a fucking vegetable? What nutrients does a vegetable provide? What nutrients does fucking broccoli have? Vitamin C, even though vitamin C is in raw meat. It has phytochemicals, which are healthy for digestion and fiber. You don't need fiber. I haven't had fiber in 3 months, and I feel my shits are perfectly fine. The phytochemicals are not necessary for human survival at all, and they can be inflammatory. And I've noticed this, especially when I eat like apples, and I know it's not a vegetable, but like high fiber things like apples, broccoli, spinach, especially for me. I had a fucking kidney stone at 14 because I was eating a shit ton of spinach thinking that it was going to increase my testosterone. That's fucking retarded. I was eating mushrooms and spinach, which are loaded with oxalates, which basically bind to calcium and can store in your gallbladder, making kidney stones. Most kidney stones are oxidative kidney stones, and then you pee it out because it's like literally like chunks of oxalates in your system that your body needs to get out before it binds to too much calcium, and then your bones aren't as strong as they should be, and then you don't have enough calcium in your eyes. A lot of people and a lot of vegans have sunken in eyes. I think I even have kind of sunken in eyes because I haven't been on this diet long enough. And I was very malnourished as a kid. So that just goes to show, like, if you see me within the next year, obviously it's going to go back to normal. And one more thing is oxalates can cause acne. I didn't even know that. I didn't even realize that every single time I ate vegetables, I was giving myself like an extra pimple or two. And now, since I've completely cut it out, I don't see a single pimple. Oh, no, that's a scar. Sorry. Nope, that's a scar. Nothing. And I used to be pimple face. I used to be literally covered with pimples when I was on a paleo diet, eating meat, fruit, vegetables, grains, nuts, and that's it. But when I cut out the grains, nuts, vegetables, and even I found cutting out fruit was very helpful. Feel way better. I have way more stable energy. I've grown 2.5 inches, if not 3 inches in height. I'm losing fat pretty easily. I don't know how good the lighting is, but yeah, you can see I have fucking abs. And yeah, my skin is clear. I feel fucking great. Who wouldn't want to do the diet? All right. Next question is, how would you start? Because after those first 3 questions, if you don't want to do the raw primal diet, you're like autistic. I'm just fucking with you. But like, if you want to know how to start, I think the first thing that you should do is go for, there are some raw meat options in restaurants, which you can just make at home. Like steak tartare, which is just cut up steak or ground beef and a raw egg yolk, and you mix it up and you eat it. Tastes very good. Add any seasonings. You don't have to worry about that just yet. And whatever. Same as sushimi. Rice, or just don't even add the rice. Just have a bunch of raw sushimi grade fish, which is just wild caught fish. I ate a whole 1.5 pound raw salmon. I was perfectly fine. And then you can start with rare meats. So just don't cook your steak all the way. Like, just sear the outside, and don't even worry about carcinogens yet. Your body can excrete them. It just takes a while. So I just eat it raw. If you sear your steaks, even on this diet, it's not the end of the world. It'll probably be the same. As long as you don't do it to your organ meats. Those you should really keep intact. And then egg yolks and raw milk. Egg yolks, just have super runny eggs. Simple as that. You're getting a bunch of raw bioavailable nutrients and raw animal fats from that. And then the raw milk, you can put the raw egg yolks in the raw milk and add like some raw honey and stuff if you tolerate it. But I find that raw milk is probably the most socially acceptable form because it's just milk, but it's not heated. And bacteria, this and that. I already went over that. If you're getting it from a healthy cow, you should be fine. Get it from a grass-fed cow. Go to realmilk.com and you can find raw milk shops like around you. Drive up to one, go get some raw milk, meet the owner there. Maybe you can get a fucking discount. Maybe you can get it unrefrigerated. Like, never refrigerated raw milk is the best if you are trying to grow taller, which I unfortunately haven't gotten, but I've gotten organ meats. I've gotten a ton of grass-fed, grass-finished steaks, lamb, bison. I have, refrigerated raw milk. Still really good. not optimal, but just do your best. Just do your best to slowly incorporate more and more raw foods. And then, last question. Raw animals, or like wild animals. Like, I go in my backyard and I shoot a fucking squirrel. Can I eat that raw? Is it dangerous? If you ask Google or if you ask ChatGPT, it's going to say yes, it is dangerous. You cannot eat them. You ask me, and I'll tell you, I've eaten a fucking grasshopper off the damn ground outside. I've been fine. Yes, I literally took a grasshopper and fucking ate that bitch. I'm setting up snare traps tomorrow night, and I'm going to get a couple squirrels, and I'll tell you how it goes. I do believe that you can eat wild animals completely raw. I do not see the issue whatsoever, especially fish, because if you catch a fish yourself that is wild caught fish, basically just sashimi. The same thing as you get in a restaurant and people eat on a regular basis. So you shouldn't be scared of raw meats, or especially wild raw meats, because those are most likely going to be healthier. Those are going to be more tender because they're moving more. They're not in food lots. They're going to be better for you. They're going to have more nutrients because they're eating their natural diet. And you have like almost no risk of contamination whatsoever. Especially if you shoot like a deer in your backyard or something. You can eat that whole fucking thing raw, and I bet you $100 that you won't get sick from it. So yeah, that's it. If you have any other questions that you want me to answer, just comment down below and whatever. And I'll see you later. Goodbye.